What's going on, everybody on YouTube? Steve here with Raiken Profit. Welcome to this show. Today we are joined with my friend Jim Pickins, and we're going to be talking about how to start a profitable used book selling business on Amazon. So, what's going on, Jim? Welcome
What's up, Steve?
to the show. Thanks for coming on, man. It's your first live show. I feel special.
yeah, first live show. I do the YouTube thing. I do a few videos here and there, but yeah, this is the first live show I've done. So looking
Awesome,
forward to
man.
it.
Well, definitely looking forward to talking to you. And it looks like we got a bunch of people joining in right now interested in selling books. Why don't you tell everybody your story, man? How did you get started with selling books on Amazon, and how did you get into this crazy game of reselling, man? Everyone's got an interesting and unique story.
Yeah. So all right. So the way my story starts off was I think I had like $500 to my name at the time. This was probably 2 years ago, give or take. And there's this guy named Paul James, and Paul James had this. He had a course. It was like really cheap, and it was about retail arbitrage. So, and it was talking about you buy stuff at Walmart, Target. A lot of people have heard of retail arbitrage, where you buy something from a store and then you resell it on Amazon. So I looked into it and I said, okay, let's check this out. So it was a program you put on your phone. It's called Profit Bandit. So I got all that stuff, and to make a long story short, it did work. I signed up. I made some money with it, but at the end of the day, I wasn't really making a ton of profit. It was one of those things where it was a lot of work, and the timing had to be just right. So what ended up happening, I got some books from my uncle, and he has all these like really esoteric subjects and just perfect stuff for Amazon, right? I didn't know this at the time. I sent them in, and one by one they started selling. I'm like, wow. I'm like, man, maybe there's something to this, right? So then I started thinking further into it, like, okay, so how do I get these books on a regular basis? So then I started going to these library sales. And you're from Connecticut. They have plenty of the library sales all over
Oh
the
yeah.
place in Connecticut. So I got the phone, and then there's this software that you need on the phone so that you can scan a book, and it'll tell you right away, is this a winner or is this something you want to avoid? So I got the software, and at first I was looking up books with the camera on my phone, right? So that's like my first library sale. I'm like in the corner with like books stacked up, like looking them up one at a time with my camera on the phone, and obviously it was not efficient, but I still made money. So I still made money. So even with that terrible efficiency, I made money. So I just really, the profit is what brought me into book selling. The profit margins, even with the fee increases that Amazon made, I mean, the profit margins, there's still nothing like it. It's nothing like it, right? So
I agree.
we ended up to give some actual numbers to this. So like I said, I started with about $500. By the second or third month, this was like November time, we were already on track that we would do about like $100,000 in profit in the first year. Profit. So that's not gross. That's take home.
Wow.
And that was just hustling. That was just everyday sourcing, and we would have a routine. So we would source 3-4 days a week. There was no days off, right? I mean, it was like we were going to make money or we were going to die trying, right? So we would do 3-4 days, and then 2 or 3 days we would ship the books, and it was good. I mean, we were getting payouts, bi-weekly payouts, $3,000 to $5,000. So it was sweet. It was
Wow.
good. Yeah,
That's cool, man.
a lot of money.
I think that I actually ran into your girlfriend. Do you source with your girlfriend?
Yeah, we go together. We go together almost everywhere we go together.
Because I was at a library sale in Ellington once, and I was scooping up all these books, and there was another girl there, and she had like probably like 100 of them, and I'm looking at her like, who the heck is this chick? I'm just kidding. I was literally there doing work on the laptop, and I saw the sale, and I went in, and ended up finding like 20 books, but there was another
Yeah,
girl there killing it, and I'm
yeah,
like, who is
yeah.
this?
That's
And then,
gotta be her then. Yeah,
but
Ellington.
I,
We went to that one.
but I went on YouTube and I saw your video that day, and I saw you walking out of the same library, and that was the first time I went to that library, and I'm like, that son of a gun! I bet you were upstairs at the upstairs
I
part of
was.
this.
I was upstairs. That was me. I was upstairs. Yeah.
That's really cool, man. I mean, it's interesting to know everybody's story, and like you said, I mean, with books, the ROIs are quite impressive. You know, anywhere
It
between
is.
300 to 700% isn't uncommon, and
No.
like you were saying prior, I think it was on your sales page for your course. I mean, retail arbitrage, um, other business models on Amazon typically is anywhere between 30 to 60%, which is still really good. But books is almost like an anomaly in a sense with the profit margins, and they're abundant everywhere, right? That's
Right.
why I started selling clothing on eBay, because clothing's everywhere. It's either clothing or books. Those are going to be the two number one things. So, um, thanks for sharing that. So where are you today in terms of your business, to kind of give some context to this whole conversation? I know that you bought a warehouse, or you rented a warehouse.
Yep.
What's your book business look like? From where you are, from where you started to where you are today.
Yeah. So a lot different. So now we have about 6,000 square feet in this warehouse, and we bring in between 60 to 100,000 pounds of books a month, and we should be this year, if everything goes the way it's been going, we should be selling upwards of $1 million a year books.
Wow. I did not
You know,
know that. I knew it was over six figures, but I didn't know it was close to seven.
now, well, yeah, now we're
Wow.
we're at that. This is actually the first time that a lot of people will hear that because I haven't even updated my own channel in so long, right? But that's why, right? It's because it's just when you become an entrepreneur and you say, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna make a ton of money. There's no days off, right? I mean, I work 7 days a week. There's really no days off. Maybe some days sometimes I'll work 6 days because you just get so worn out. You need that seventh day. But yeah, we have a lot of books coming in, and all that knowledge from before, with FBA and all the stuff that, I put into that course, it's all, I still use it. I mean, to this day. I mean, a lot of the stuff in the course, I would say 90% of the stuff in the course is still stuff that I'm currently doing. I mean, I've made some changes, but yeah, I mean, it's all really actionable information. And the other thing is that I update it. So if Amazon does changes, fee changes, anything like that, I update. I update the trigger settings. I update all kinds of things. So it's one of those things that you really have to keep it up to date.
Yeah,
So I make sure I do.
like I was saying to you before, I don't know if anybody knows, but he actually created a course uh, sharing pretty much everything he knows. And I actually started going through the course about, how long has it been since I reached out to you? A couple weeks now, week
Yeah,
and a half.
about that.
Um, I've been going through the course with Mama Profits, who is my mother. She sells books for over 3 years. And I gave her access to the course. And literally, like, it was like an hour and a half later, she's like, I've been watching Jim's course the whole time. I'm learning so much about sales ranks. Like, she really enjoyed it, and it's super detailed. It's in depth, and to be honest, man, like, you could have charged a lot more for that course. I mean, there's like
Yeah,
39 videos, 10 hours of content, and I don't team up with and promote just any course. Like, I've been looking for something like this to share with my audience. I'm telling you, man, like, you did an amazing job on that course. Like, really, really good. I'm not just saying that because we're live. Like, it is a phenomenal course. So we'll talk more about that later. I'm ready to jump into the meat and potatoes. But if anyone's interested in that course, the link is down below, raikenprofit.com/ bookselling 101. And actually, for the next during this show and for the next 48 hours, I'm giving away 3 of my clothing books, free bonus inside of that course if you go through my link. Obviously, I'm an affiliate for it. So if you do go through it, I'll get a small commission. But I'm telling you guys right now, it's a really good course. Anyways, let's dive into it. Let's shout some people out really quick in the comment section, and we'll get into the meat and potatoes of this course. We've got Heather Reynolds in the house saying, hello, Steve. Hello, Heather. Good to see you. Miners Treasures. We got Eva Grant, Good to see you. Drew is saying that, Jim, that's some sound advice. New Frontier Business says, I live in a college town, so I post ads on Craigslist that I buy textbooks. I get a lot of responses from those ads. Do you ever do any of that?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and I'm
I know
sure
you
that
do. I
you know
watched the
I do.
video.
I've seen the videos. Yeah, I have a whole section on Craigslist. Yeah, Craigslist can be a moneymaker for sure. Yeah, textbooks. Yeah, you're doing the right thing. But there's other things you could do with Craigslist too, not just textbooks. Um, so yeah, I talk a lot about that. But yeah, Craigslist. I mean, there's two ways to go with Craigslist. There's the way where you post an ad and people come to you. And then there's the other way, which is people post their own ads and you contact them. What I would find is the good ads of people selling stuff like books on Craigslist or anything really. If someone posts something really good, you're not the only person that can see that, right?
Mhm.
So the time it takes for you to contact that person is pretty much like the deciding factor on who gets that deal. So what I ended up doing was, I set these alerts, and these alerts will email me. I still, to this day, I get emails every day from Craigslist saying, what people are selling, what they're getting rid of, what the price is, and I can jump on that like that, and I'll be very rarely am I not the first person. And that could mean the difference. I made a video on my channel, pop-up books. That was a Craigslist lead. I made so much freaking money off those pop-up books. It was crazy. And it was like one day, me and my girlfriend went, she's a hustler too. Like you said, you saw her at the sale. She works hard and
She's not messing around.
yeah, I think we probably made like 5-6 grand off those pop-up books from one ad on Craigslist.
That's
So
insane.
Craigslist is yeah, that's a moneymaker
Wait,
for
so what are
sure.
these pop-up books? I don't think I saw that video.
Yeah, I mean, pop-up books in general are they're just valuable. It's a niche thing. There's people that collect just pop-up books, and they're kind of delicate, and these were all like new condition, and they were really nice. So I mean, the average sale on the pop-up books I bought from him were probably like $30-$40 average sale. I mean, it was
And what'd
crazy
you pay
high.
for each one on average?
$1 to $2.
So
one to
you're
two
leaving
dollars.
on a $35
Yeah,
sale. Well, with the new fees, you'd probably make around, I
you
don't know,
make a
20
little
bucks or
less.
so,
Yeah, you make a
right?
little less, but it's all relative. I mean, if you notice, the prices are going up universally, right? So people talk about these fees, right? And yeah, okay, but the penny book, if you notice, that's pretty rare to find now. And the reason is if you sell something for a penny plus $4 shipping, you lose like $2.
Yep.
So the new floor price is actually five
Just
dollars
moving
and
up.
five cents, right?
Yeah.
So if you see a book that sells for less than $5.05 with shipping included, that seller is losing money. I can tell you right now.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of them out there. I mean, that it's really crazy to think about that people don't know their own numbers and the fees when Amazon makes changes like this. And that, I mean, it's like what, a month later at this point?
I think the repricers are attacking each other too. I think people have their repricers not calibrated correctly, so they're just battling all the way down to nothing.
Yeah, but it's scary. I mean, some of these guys are selling serious volume, and it's one thing to break even; it's another thing to lose money. But the point being that yeah, prices are going up, right? So we're talking about the fees and things like that. But yeah, I mean, $30-$40 book. I mean, okay, so the fees on average, okay, so you'll make about $1.50 to $2 or so, less on that book. If you're
Right.
selling the book for $40, who cares? I mean, who cares really? I mean, at the end of the day, it's inconsequential. I mean, sure, it'd be great, but if we still had that extra $2, right? But you
Yep.
can't do anything about it, right? So all you can do is adapt, and that's what we chose to do.
There's really only one guarantee in business that I've realized is things will never remain the same. I mean, it's adapt or die. It really is. It doesn't matter if it's eBay or Amazon for
Yep.
just
Yep.
any product. So nothing new. But let's dive into the meat and the potato of the shows right now. We've got 152 people watching live right now and 28 likes. I mean, I'm no mathematician, guys. I say this all the time, but 152 people watching live, only 28 likes. I know that there's some diehard book hustlers in the feed right now. So smash that like button and let's jump into it. So the first question I want to ask you is for the new people who are just getting started with Amazon. What's the first thing they have to do if they don't even have an account or anything? Like, do they get the Amazon seller app, or do they sign up for an account first? What's the
Yeah,
first thing to
I
do?
mean, that's one of the things that appealed to me when I started this is I know that if I put in the work and I put in the time that, I can make things happen. But at the same time, I also know that if there's a huge barrier to entry to something, like, in other words, I could really want to be a doctor, right? I wake up a day, I really want to be a surgeon or something, right? But I can't just go out there and start doing surgery on people. It would take years and years of schooling and things like that. So when I started all this Amazon stuff, I'm like, okay, so what do I need to do this? Bank account. I mean, it was like a bank account, maybe a credit card for them to pull the fees if you don't have enough in the bank, and put in some information, your name, address. I mean, I think I had an account like a day or two. I mean, it took like a day. I mean, it's like same day almost. It's super quick, super easy, and there's a link actually to sign up. Um, I don't have it here, but I mean, if you literally search Google, search Amazon FBA sign up, I think they give you a free month. So for the first month, you can sell and actually not even pay the fee. So it's super easy to get started. And what a lot of people also don't realize is once you sign up for that, it's not just books you can sell. You can sell all kinds of stuff. I mean, me and my girlfriend, we'd also go to tag sales. I have a video about that too. I mean, we would go to tag sales and sell CDs and toys and video games and things like that. And you'll be able to sell. I mean, maybe CDs, are some things that you have to submit invoices or things for now, but video games, toys, you could sell all that stuff too. So yeah, it's super easy to sign up. And again, that's one of the pluses. That's one of the reasons I got into it.
Do you think that people should sign up with the free account first, or considering books is typically high volume, would you recommend somebody who's serious about getting started selling books on Amazon to go with that $39.99
Here's how I feel about
professional?
that. I'm glad you asked that. This is the way I feel about that. If you go with that one that's not the professional account and you pay 99 cents a listing or whatever, I mean, how many listings is it going to take before you pay that $40 anyway? Right.
Right.
So
40.
if you're going to do it, do it right. It costs $39.99. If you don't have $39.99 to start a new business, then I don't think there's a business in the world you can start for less than that, and you get the first month free. So do it right, do the professional account. Then you're not, because otherwise if you don't do that, then you're paying 99 cents or whatever for every single listing you list. And if you do really well, I mean, you could find 300-400 books in a week, and then that's $400.
Yeah.
So then at that point it's like, well, why didn't I just go with the professional account? So
Cool. What are some of the basic tools? I know there's a million tools that we can name off that people can use, but what are some of the most basic tools that every new seller should acquire for their book selling business at first? Let's just say first 2 or 3 months.
yeah, so I mean, the first couple months, I mean, there's things that you need. You want an Android phone, right? So you want an Android-based phone. You want a
Why not
Bluetooth
iPhone?
scanner, and
I gotta stop you. Why not iPhone, man?
it's a good point. And I say Android. I'm kind of partial to Android, but there's a reason that I recommend Android actually, and that's because the Amazon Seller app. There's a camera, and you can look up with the camera
This
on
thing
the
sucks
Amazon
with the
Seller app.
camera. It is so bad. Is that what you're getting at?
Well, no, that's not what I'm getting at. But what I was going to get at is the software of the seller Amazon Seller app. It used to be behind on the iPhone version, so it wasn't functional to where I needed it to be for scanning books. And I don't use the Seller app for most of my book scanning, but for some of it I do. And I've heard people have told me since then they fixed it. So you can use an iPhone. So we'll get that out. Yeah, you can use an iPhone or an Android, but you definitely need a Bluetooth scanner. So you definitely want something like that. You can get those used,
And that's a handheld
50,
scanner.
60, $70. Yep. Bluetooth scanner. You want the software for the phone. I mean, there's a couple different ones. There's FBA scan. There's a couple other ones. And then you want, a label printer, right? You want a label printer because you have to label the books when you send them in. So there's a Dymo printer. I think I used was the 450.
Yep.
That's like $60,
Smaller
I
one.
think.
Yep.
So I mean, minimal expenses are. I mean, at the end of the day, these are minimal expenses. It's nothing that's going to break the bank and like, oh, I can't do this. It's going to cost me $2,000 to get started. No, I mean, we're talking like literally like
Right.
maybe $150, maybe
I liked
$200 all in.
I liked your setup, man, because in your course you had a video where you literally had the camera on you, like you're in front of your desk with your laptop, and you've got the little what is that thing called? The little USB scanner. You had it like just sitting up like this, so you were just
Right,
scanning your books in. You had your Dymo, you had it all like set up,
right.
and that was just cool, man, because when you're doing high volume like you, how important is it to have everything in the right place? Because if it's taking you an extra 4 seconds to do something with 500 books,
It's
I
huge.
mean,
It's huge. It can make the difference between scanning 20 books an hour and scanning, 70 books an hour. It's a big deal. Yeah, for sure.
what types of books should people buy, right? Are you actually analyzing the books based on your own experience, or are you just going straight up off the app? Are you using the app to make the decisions for you? Because so many people want to know how do you know what a profitable book is? Some people don't know anything about Amazon Seller app. They don't know what the FBA scan is. Are you going based on your own knowledge, or are you going mostly based on the analytics from the app, or are you doing like a combination?
So at this point, I do kind of a combination. But to speak to that point, I started this business. I mean, I never really had any affinity towards books or anything like that, and I didn't like read like 20 books a week as a child or anything like that. I mean, books are cool. I read books, right? Read fiction, nonfiction every now and then, but it was never a thing like where I know like so much about books. It wasn't ever like the obvious course that I was going to take in my life. It was just one of these things that it turned out to be very profitable, and it was something that I was able to do with little pushback. It was easy to get the seller account. Books were everywhere. So and yeah. So I mean, what was your actual question again, though? Because now I'm getting
Like,
off on other
no,
things.
no, it's all right, man. I was pretty much asking you, like, how do you know, like, when to buy a book or
Oh, right,
pass?
right,
And
right.
you were
Sorry.
like talking about, it's all good, man. Like, you
Gotcha.
kind of
Yeah.
have a combination.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you know? Okay. So yeah, what I was getting at was I'm the kind of person that I go by data. I'm a data-driven person,
Mm,
so it's not like I know about a book just because I see it. I mean, actually, I would say that's a detriment. If someone that thinks they know about books and they make assumptions, that's the type of person that is probably going to be at a disadvantage.
mm,
You really the data never lies. It really doesn't. Now there are situations where knowing things and being in the field for a while, like for instance, long tail books. When do I buy that book that's like 8
mm.
million rank? And when do I know it's a dud? Those are types of things that you kind of get a feel for, but you learn as you go. And but I can say that just using triggers based on preset software settings, you can get 85 to 90% of the way there with just that.
So
Definitely.
for the people who don't understand what he's talking about with triggers, because it's a little more advanced, you use FBA scan for your triggers, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. FBA
Yeah.
scan. Yeah.
So he has an app a scanning app called FBA Scan, and he's allowed to set up triggers. And essentially, it's these rules, right? You're setting up these rules beforehand, and there's a sound that goes off, right? Do you have the sound as a trigger?
Yeah, yeah. You can use the sound. Some people put headphones in,
Yep.
but I actually go mostly off the visual cues. The green that says buy. I go off visual, but some people just do audio. They don't even look at it.
So
Yeah.
essentially, what he's doing with these triggers is he's setting up these rules in advance that if it meets a certain criteria. So for example, say the book has that much profit, the rank is here, the feedback. To be honest, I've never really experimented with the triggers. I've never been that high of a volume, even though, even if you do low volume, I bet you that would be a good option because I can't imagine how much time you save. But anyways, I don't know personally much about them, but it's a way to be able to scan and be able to go through a lot more books. And one thing that I've noticed, and I'm sure you've noticed it much more than me, you sell a lot more than I do. Numbers is the name of the game, right? The more you scan, the more money you make, typically, right? I mean, if you're at a thrift store or wherever.
Yeah, absolutely. There's I mean, there are books that they don't have barcodes, they don't have ISBNs, and you can do manual lookups. And a lot of them you do want to do that, take the time to do that. But at the end of the day, the more you scan, the more you type in, the more chances you have. It's basic statistics. Absolutely. At the same time, though, you have to know when you're wasting your time, right? So we're talking about the mass market fiction, stuff like that. That stuff is just very rare to pull a profit when we're talking about FBA. So that's the section you're at the library sale, you see the mass market fictions, those small little fat paperback books, those you want to avoid.
So you're sticking with mostly the nonfiction.
Mostly nonfiction. Now, fiction I sell. I do sell fiction. I've talked about that on my channel. Just because mass market recent fiction rarely has value doesn't mean that all fiction doesn't have value. Now I get thousands of pounds of books in, and I just got a Gaylord in that had books from the 50s, 60s, 70s. They have no ISBNs. You have to type them in manually. And man, some of those books, I mean, usually they're a little bit higher rank, maybe 1 to 3 million or so, but that's actually not that bad a rank.
Oh, not at all.
And they sell.
Huge category books.
Right. And these older fiction books, I mean, they can go for good money. I mean, they're out of print and there's a lot of people looking for them. So, I mean, frequently, I mean, I find these older fiction books, 15, 20, $30 fiction. And you hear people talk about fiction is worthless. And it's like, no, it's not that black and white. You really have to dig a little deeper and test things out and see for yourself.
Cool. So before we get to the halftime show, and I've never done an official halftime show, but I'm going to ask Jim to show us something cool in a couple of minutes. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So you guys better stick around. But I'm going to ask you one more question. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to answer this, and we're going to get to some cool halftime show stuff. For people out there who are looking to source books, what are some of the best ways to get started, right? I know there's more advanced ways to get started, with higher volume, ordering Gaylords and relationships with recycling companies and all that. But for the person who maybe they're starting this business with a couple $1,000s in their bank account, right? They've got some disposable income to spend every month to start the business. What's the best way for people to start sourcing books, to get a feel for Amazon FBA, to send in the first shipments, do a couple boxes a week? Any advice?
Yeah, so I mean, there's some basic guidelines you can follow, but the truthful answer to that is it depends on your area. It really depends on where you live. I can tell you a few things that are almost sure wins all the time. Craigslist, I've done really well on Craigslist. I've done really well making my own website, and I have a free tutorial actually on that on my channel, where I have a website and I put ads up, and people, if they want to sell books, they can put in their information. So I have a free tutorial on that.
Cool.
Thrift stores, I mean, one of the obvious things, right? Savers, Goodwill, places like that. They have tons of books. And those are easily accessible. You have a phone, you have the Bluetooth scanner, you have the knowledge, the triggers, stuff like that. You can go in there and make money. We did that for the longest time, and we can go in, come out, and make $400, $500 in an hour. And you can still do that. We expanded now. We do a little bit more than that, but yeah. So thrift stores, you've got your library sales. The library sales you can do very well.
Yeah.
Very, very well.
Unless you bump into him there.
Yeah.
No, but
we'll do a little less good if I'm there, but I mean, you still make some money.
but there's going to be competition at these places. Bottom
Oh
line,
yeah.
there's still plenty of room for everybody. And even if Jim's there, or me and Jim could both be there, right? And like,
Yeah.
there's still room for the next guy. You can only cover so much.
And I cover that in the course actually, but I mean I can give people a few tips right now. I mean, the obvious book sale to go to is not always the best sale to go to, right? If that's the sale that you thought, oh, this has got to be the good one. It's highlighted yellow. It says 100,000 books. That's the sale I'm going to. I'm going to make the most money there. While meanwhile down the road there's some other no-name library and they have 10,000 books. And you think, well, no, I'm not going to that one. They only have 10,000 books. You know, um, don't make that mistake. Don't make that mistake. Sometimes less competition, less books means less competition. And less competition means you can clean that place out. And 10,000 books, you could walk away with that with 1,000 books, all to yourself, and make a ton of money.
Wow. Thanks for the tips, man. And there's a lot more. So again, guys, if you are interested in learning more about selling books, definitely check out his course, RaikenProfit.com/bookselling 101. So you can check that out in the description. I'm gonna tell you what, guys, we have 182 people watching live. I want to hit 100 likes. If we hit 100 likes, I'm gonna ask Jim. I don't know if he's gonna show it to us, but hopefully he does. I'm gonna ask him to show probably the coolest pet that I've ever seen anybody on YouTube possess. So if we hit 100 likes, I'm gonna ask him if he'll show it to us. I want one. That's all I want to say. I want one, and it's so much cooler than just a cat or a dog. So we got 74 people hitting the like button. 81. It is flying up quick. Peter S says, I love it when I'm the only reseller at a thrift store. It happens, right? All the time. I mean, I'll go looking for books or clothes and there's nobody else there. It's almost like it's pretty crazy, right? When so many people complain about not having money and, oh, I hate working my job and, I can't afford my insurance, this and that. And then you go to a thrift store and it's empty and there's like $1,000 of profit sitting there. Like, have you ever thought about that? Like
Yeah.
how lucky am I? How lucky are you like to fall into this game?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm not big on excuses, I'm really not, I'm about getting stuff done. And for sure, I mean, you walk into a thrift store and, I know you're giving away some of your clothing courses as a bonus,
Yep.
with it. And, there's a lot more things sold at a thrift store. It's not just books. There's clothing, there's all kinds of stuff. So your knowledge on those categories, you could systematically go through each category and walk out and make a ton of money. And it's just knowing what to get. So yeah, man, I'm not big on the excuses and the sob stories, man. The money's out there. You just have to apply yourself, and that's just how I feel about it personally.
I agree. So we have reached 105 likes. It is time for the halftime show. Let me ask the question, Jim. Could you show us your cool pet? Because I'll tell you right now, it's cool. I like it. So awesome.
Let's see the tortoise. Which one? Which one do you have over there? Both? All right, we'll start with Tiny. She's not the smallest. She was small, we got her, so we named her Tiny. And this is Tiny.
Hold on, let me put the camera on you. So there we go. So that's Tiny. How old is Tiny?
That's Tiny. Tiny is about 3 years old. She's a female Russian tortoise, and she has a little personality for sure. And I have three, so I'll show you all three of them, I guess. This is Torty. Torty's the first tortoise we got, and she's also the biggest. So you can see she's
that's one good-looking turtle right there.
She's a big girl, and she's got a really nice shell too. If you see her,
yeah,
shell, it's actually every time we bring her to the vet, they always tell us just how nice her shell is, and it's because we feed them right. We don't give them tortoise food. We feed them real leafy greens that they get out in the wild.
Really?
Yep. And this is little guy. This is our little guy. This is our littlest. He's the boy, actually. The males are smaller than the females. he's super cute, but he goes to the bathroom a lot, so I don't want to hold him out too long, or he'll have an accident on my iMac here, or my MacBook Pro rather.
Hey Jim, Blue Days 42 is saying my daughter is standing here wanting a turtle now.
Yeah, they're great pets. I mean, you just got to take care of them, you know.
Do they are they like in like little like not cages but like little glass container thingamajiggies or are they
No,
walk
you
around the
don't want
house?
to. Yeah, you don't want to put them in glass. You want to put them. We have. They're actually. It's funny that I actually use this as a container, so to speak, for them. But we use they're mixing tubs from
Oh,
Home
okay.
Depot.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
mixing tubs. Yeah, they're like these little plastic tubs. They're like, I don't know, maybe 3 feet, 4 feet by 3 feet or something like that. And they go in there. They need heat and they need UVB. And then you feed them their greens, and they can come out. They're tortoises. A lot of
Hmm.
people don't understand the difference. There's turtles. Those are water and land. Tortoises are just land. So these guys a lot easier to maintain, right? Because the turtles, you have to clean that tank.
Oh.
That tank gets dirty, and that's a lot of work. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you want to get a turtle.
Cool. Well, thanks for the halftime show, Jim. Appreciate
Well,
that. That was a lot of fun. Good looking turtles right there. We got a comment from Beba De Niro saying, I'm in Jim's course, or I'm taking Jim's course, and it's the best. I'm not even done yet and have so much good information. Jim knows what he is talking about. Great course.
appreciate that.
So, what do you say to the people? Because there was a comment that came in, and I found that on these live feeds, you'll get people coming in with different opinions, and I respect it, right? What do you say to the people who say selling books is dead? Because I hear it all the time, and I'm not just pointing out one person in the comments. I think it's a good question because a lot of people say selling books is dead, all because the fees went up 10% or probably not even. I don't even
I'll
know.
be honest with you, Steve. If we weren't, on this feed, and these weren't your subscribers and your, people watching this, if it was a bunch of people that, I mean, yeah, I don't personally know you guys, but like it wasn't, your subscribers, I wouldn't say a thing. I'd say keep thinking that. That's better for me. That's better for the other booksellers that I know. I mean, the more people that think that, the less competition I'm going to have, and that's perfect for me. So at the end of the day, though, what do I say to it? My response would be a $1.50 to $2 increase in fees does not make an entire category dead. I mean, if you actually look into what the fee increase was, you're looking at about $1.50 increase in fees per item on average. So it definitely means that those lower dollar, you're not going to be selling a bunch of $8 books and making a killing. That's not going to happen, but that didn't happen before. I would send those books in, and honestly, when I would send those books in, this is before the fee change. I'd be like, man, am I even wasting my time even doing this? Because you have to take into account your time. So yeah, I mean, book selling is absolutely not dead. But like I said, if this wasn't your people on this right now, I'd say, yeah, I don't think it's dead. That's great. I hope
Is
everybody thinks it's dead, but you know,
is would you say? And obviously, you live in you're in Connecticut, right? I didn't know if you lived on like the outskirts or you're in Connecticut, right? We're in the same state. There's
hmm
plenty of books over here. Like there's enough for
it's
everybody. There's
ridiculous.
But would you say from your experience and talking to your talking to subscribers on your channel, like, are there some people who live in other parts of the country where you can't find books or books just isn't, is that just being
Uh,
closed-minded saying like, oh, all because they can't find books at a thrift store, it doesn't mean there's no books. You might have to look outside to other things like Craigslist or bulk buying. Does it matter where you live from your experience?
yeah, I mean, of course, it matters where you live. Like, there are going to be different in different areas. There will be better. Like, for instance, I've heard people in Facebook groups talking about, oh, I've got 100 different thrift stores within 50 miles from here, and that's crazy to me. that's a lot of thrift stores. Whereas maybe the library sales aren't as prevalent, but they make a killing in the thrift stores. Whereas other areas, you do better at library sales or Craigslist or other things like that. But at the end of the day, if someone were to tell me, I just can't find books anywhere. I've tried everything that you've recommended. I've tried just everything. I just can't find any books. That would be pretty hard to believe. I mean, that would be pretty hard to believe, to be honest with you. I mean,
Yeah, there's opportunities out there, right?
there's a lot of opportunity out there. Yeah, I mean, especially, I mean, in the United States, I can't think of any place in the United States that you wouldn't be able to find books that were profitable to sell. Um, I mean, even Canada, there's FBA Canada. So if you don't live in the U.S., I mean, as long as there's FBA system or warehouse uh, that you can send books to, you can still make money. So yeah, I would say that that would be pretty far fetched to not be able to find books anywhere in your area.
People always ask me all the time, like, because I talk about eBay on my channel, Amazon. I've talked about all different types of ways to make money. And people always ask when it comes to reselling, like, what do you think is the best way to get started? And I think honestly, books is one of the best ways to get started. I got my
Absolutely.
mother started selling, and she's over 60, got her started selling about 3 years ago. And Jim, I can't tell you how, what's the word? She had no clue how to do anything with technology. She didn't know the first thing about reselling, man. Like I was doing clothes at the time, and like she didn't want anything to do with eBay and taking pictures. And I guess what I'm
It
trying to
is
say
a
is
lot of work. Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you're 15, right? Obviously, you're going to need some consent to get your checking account set up and all that with your parents or whatnot. But it doesn't matter if you're 15 or 75 or 80, right? I know people who are 75, 80 years old selling books. It's not a young guy's game. Anybody can do it, right? You can go at your own pace.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a ton of money. I mean, books is one of the best ways to get started, right? You could, my mother, she doesn't make a ton of money. She does a couple $1,000s in sales a month, gross. Her profit, who knows? Maybe it's 500 a month or 800 a month. I don't know. But that's the beautiful thing about selling books. I mean, it doesn't have to be your full-time income. You can
Right.
just, right? Like you can,
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've got people that they work full-time jobs and then on the weekend or, at nights, they go out and they source books and, they find the time. They don't make excuses. They follow the information and they actually do it, right? And they learn from this and then they learn their own little tricks and things that can't be taught, and I got part-time people that make $1,000, maybe even $2,000, part time per month. And then there's the guys that say, you know what, I'm just gonna go all out with it. They have more time during the day, and those guys can do really well. I mean, I had a guy named Kevin, and he uses pretty much like all the information that I have. He uses my repricing settings, all this stuff, and I mean, I think he surpassed what I was making. I mean, he could make up to like 120,000, and he was doing what I was doing. A lot of the same things and using a lot of my same information. So I think that's actually a good thing to note that I've actually had people surpass me with my own information, and that's great, right? I mean, I think if people can do you know good things with the information, and that's why I put it out there. So
cool. Let's dive into some of the more specifics. Say somebody is using the Amazon seller app, right? I think it's a good way to get started. Or maybe they're using FBA scan and they scan a book, right? And for the folks out there who don't know anything about this, you have an application on your phone. You scan it through the camera or through your Bluetooth scanner, which Jim talks about, and it brings up the information about the product, right? It has all different types of information. What are you looking for when you scan an item to tell if you want to buy it or not? Outside of triggers, what specifics, feedback, rank, profit, what do you look for, Jim?
yeah, so it's actually pretty simple. And when we talk about things like FBA scan, everything's laid out in a certain way. So you've got what's called your merchant prices, and these are the prices of people that fulfill their own books. They send them out on their own. And then you've got your FBA prices. These are typically higher. And these are the people that send them into Amazon, which is what I teach. Then Amazon, they send it to the customer, so you don't have to deal with the customer service. You don't have to deal with fulfilling stuff. I mean, I have people that come to me and they ask me support questions, and I send them to Amazon. But I mean, really, it's sales rank and it's price. I mean, if I had to narrow it down to the two, basic things, I would say you're looking at the sales rank and you're looking at the lowest price, and you want to make a decision based off that, because the sales rank, that'll tell you or give you an idea to, how long it'll take to sell, right? And you're not going to buy a book that you only make a few dollars profit on if it's going to take a year to sell. That's just crazy, right? And the programs give you all that information. So it's very straight to the point. You really don't have to have like book knowledge to know how to make money with books.
What about inspecting books? That's one thing that, going back to talking about my mother, I had a conversation with her the other day, and I'm not trying to throw her under the bus. It's all love. But one thing I noticed about her, this is just, constructive criticism, is she was very picky about the condition of the books, like super, super picky. Like a book might have like some underlining or like a highlighting or like a bent page, and she would just not buy it.
Yeah, yeah, they
I
gotta
to-
be careful with that.
like, do you avoid those books or not? Like, was she making the right move? Because I told her, I said, listen, you can still sell books with highlighting and issues. You just have to disclose it and, under promise, over deliver. I mean, that's my motto. Feel free to disagree. But what are your thoughts on condition? How important is it?
So how important is condition? I mean, it's important. Or to, I mean, you said something that's very important. You said that you have to disclose it, right? So if you have a book that's covered in highlighting, you would want to know that as a buyer. That doesn't mean you're not going to sell the book, but you want to let people know that ahead of time. But yeah, I would say if you're paying too much attention to the condition, then that's actually that's something that a lot of new sellers they get caught up in. Um, yeah, you just have to disclose it. And look, if it's covered in highlighting, then the condition's not going to be like new. You're not going to get top dollar, but you could still make money. I mean, I sell textbooks all the time, $50, $60 textbooks with highlighting. Some students want the highlighting, because it outlines the passages that they want to learn about, and it's almost like someone's done the work for them. So some people look for textbooks with highlighting. So that's another point that some people don't take into account.
What would you say are some of the biggest mistakes that your students have made who have gone through your course, or maybe your subscribers? You get to read the comments, you get to kind of see what their businesses are like. Based on, all the years you've been on YouTube and running this business and interacting with people, what are some of the biggest mistakes, one or two that really stick out in terms of mistakes that people are making when they're new, or even maybe they've been in business for a couple of months? Like, does anything stand out in particular?
Well, you mentioned one of them, and that's, paying too much attention to things that in the end don't really matter, right? Paying too much attention to the condition notes, or typing too detailed condition notes in, or every time you go to list a book, before you go to list it, you fix all the pages that are bent, or you wipe every single book off with a cloth. Or some people they get really into it, and it's like, that's just wasting time at the end of the day. So that's one of them. But I would say the people that, if we're talking about people that don't have success at all, I would say those people would be just giving up too fast. There's some people that are just really quick to just say, "Oh, this doesn't work." I'm going to move on to the next thing, and people jump from thing to thing to thing, and they don't get anything accomplished. Without realizing that this is going to take work. I mean, this is not. I mean, yeah, the profits are big, and but you have to learn what you're doing. You have to learn your area, learn where the most. I mean, when we would go to thrift stores, we would go to thrift stores sometimes, and they wouldn't be very good. And what we would, and if I had went to like two or three places, and like I said, I was in that library sale with the camera, looking up all the books with my phone camera. If I hadn't grown and stuck with it, I would have never made the type of money I was making. I would have never gotten that far. So I would say for sure one of the biggest things is some people just give up too soon. And that's not just with the book selling, that's with a lot of things in their life.
Yeah, no, you're right, man. Consistency is key. You don't have to be the smartest, brightest, the most talented, the quickest learner, but there's something about just people who stick with it, right? I
Yeah.
mean, the things that you'll learn if you just stick with it. I mean, you'll never imagine where this reselling game could take you, right? I mean, when you first got started thrifting, did you ever imagine that you'd be buying gaylords of books and have a six
Uh,
thousand square foot warehouse and on pace to do $1 million in sales? I mean,
Definitely not. I really didn't. You just kind of go along, and there's this kind of natural progression, and you just kind of, you're making money, and you just like, okay, then you think of, well, what's the next step? How can I scale this even further? And you come up with more ideas. Maybe you network with people that have been where you want to go, and find out some of the things they've done. You implement your own strategies, and then one day you wake up and you're somewhere completely different than where you started.
it's crazy, man. I remember just working at the Cracker Barrel like it was the other day. I was a waiter over there, 4 years ago, and that was my life. And I remember being in my little Cracker Barrel outfit and going in on a Sunday morning at 1 o'clock and walking into the biggest hellhole you could ever imagine and being stuck there for 10 hours and just the stress and living at home with my parents and just dead broke. And I was like just super miserable, man. And I started reselling bikes and it moved into clothing and then Amazon and my YouTube channel. And it's just an example. You never know. So if anyone's on the fence, whether it's books or it's clothing or it's investing in something, I mean, you got to take that first step, and it's not just us preaching. I mean, it's from our own experience. So let's dive into the comments. We're going to answer some questions. Is it cool to answer some questions right now, Jim, and do like a little
Yeah,
rapid
yeah,
fire?
let's do it. Let's do it.
Awesome. So let's see. I'm looking through the comments right now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to just drop a line below, and we're going to answer your questions. Blue Days is asking, do you pick books that have $1 to $4 profit or just books $5 or over? Some say it's not worth it for just a buck or two profit.
Yeah, I would agree that if we're talking like $1 or $2 profit, no, I mean I would skip those books. Like 99% of the time, those are not books that you want to be dealing with. It's just not worth the time. So you want to be looking for books that are, yeah, I would say $4 and up. I mean, sometimes as little as $3 profit is fine, and that's I have my triggers set in that way. If a book's under 100,000 rank, I'll make $3. I'll spend $1 on it. If it's quick, I'll buy it because it'll take me like 20 seconds to list it, and that's fine. But you really don't want to focus on books like that.
We got Brittany Camillo in the house. Good to see you, Brittany. Asking, curious, just getting into books on Amazon, hit my first library sale. Is it okay to send in with the library stickers?
Yeah, you just have to be careful with the library stuff that you really want to disclose it, because if you don't disclose that you're selling a library book, then you'll get, negative feedback and you'll get returns and stuff like that. As long as you're saying in the description that this is X library, I actually use the term library pre-owned. Sounds a little better. I know it might not sound like that, but I think I actually have seen a bump in sales using that terminology. As long as you're disclosing it, people will buy them. They sell. Maybe a little less than others, but they sell.
What's your non-legal advice on opening a business? Should someone have an LLC? I guess is it necessary to have an LLC to start a business on Amazon?
Okay, so now we're getting into the tech stuff. All right, so first disclosure: I'm not an accountant. I am not able to give tax advice. You probably shouldn't listen to anything I have to say.
It's for entertainment purposes. That's how you
Entertainment
cover your
purposes
ass.
only, etc., etc. This is how I feel about it. When you open an LLC, you're basically saying, I have business. LLC, you're saying like most LLCs have multiple employees, things like that. It's basically just putting a microscope on things when you're just starting out. And I'm not saying that, people are going to go out and actively try to avoid paying taxes, but what I am saying is like, why go through that and have that microscope on you? When you're just starting out, you're just seeing how things are going. And to me, it's just, it just doesn't make sense. You know, when you first start out, personally, I started out as a sole proprietorship. You know, you can use your own tax ID, your own social security number, and things like that. And you file taxes the way you would normally. Not much difference in that regard. But I just feel like, you know, and then LLCs cost money on top of it. And I think that's kind of unnecessary too. So I would say until, you know, you know you're making money and things are going well and things like that, I would say just use your social security number. That's my advice. That's what I did. Right. Again,
I don't
not
think it's bad advice, man, at all. I mean, someone's getting new. I mean, so many people go out. It's like people who like join a gym. They go out and buy like $100 like freaking Under Armour pants and shirts and protein and creatine, and then like they spend like $400 and they go to the gym for like a week and they're like, crap, this sucks. I
yeah,
don't even need all this stuff.
absolutely.
It's like so. I mean, I bet you there's different different theories, but I think that's some sound advice right there. Aaron wants to know, where do you buy containers of books from? So any advice for people who want to get into buying like Gaylords or like large amounts?
I mean, the first thing is, you know, buying like, you know, really bulk amounts before you know the basics of selling books is a recipe for failure. I would highly advise against it. You know, with that said, I mean, there's a lot of places that you can get them from. Um, you know, you mentioned one during the show. You mentioned, you know, recycling centers. There are recycling centers that they get books. Some of them, they're not equipped to process recycling books. It's kind of a pain. You have to have special equipment. So some of them just sell them out the back door. You know, though they do exist, and there's people that have made, you know, entire businesses off of, you know, doing things like that. But yeah, I mean, the bulk question. I mean, that's a question that requires a lot of uh, stuff that we really, first of all, don't have time to get into.
A
Um,
little more advanced. Do you talk about that
it's
in your
more, yeah,
course?
that's really getting into it. But I do talk, yeah, I do talk a
Okay.
little bit about that in the course, and I'm actually adding a forum to the course. I ran like a poll. I want to see if people were wanted to do like a Facebook group, like a private Facebook group, or if they would rather have a private forum. And it looks like the forum won in the poll, so people want the forum. So I am adding like a private forum to the course. So, you know, I have a lot of people that have different success in different areas. I got a guy that, you know, is killing it with auctions. I got another guy that's killing it with, you know, storage units, you know,
Mhm.
stuff that I've never gotten into. And, you know, a forum, that's a place where they can, you know, share their experiences. People can ask questions. So I just want to add that is something I'm adding that you get, you know, access to, in addition to what Steve's given out, you know, which, I mean, I think that's pretty cool personally. I mean, you're paying the same price for the information you're going to get anyway, you know, for the book course. And Steve's giving you, you know, stuff about selling clothes, which if you do source at thrift stores, that's good information to have. So, I mean, I think that's a great bonus. So I think people would be pretty happy. I can say this. I do offer 14-day money back, any reason. I have
Oh,
a
cool.
very, very low return rate. Very, very, very low. So I can say that people are overall very happy with the information.
There's a lot of advanced questions coming in, like advanced sourcing questions, advanced questions about setting triggers. Honestly, guys, maybe we could have him on another time to talk about it, but I'd say just get his course. He covers all, like everything about triggers,
Yeah,
which
it's as cheap as I could possibly make it for the information that's in it. It's $97. Like I said, it's 2 weeks, you know, money back. So, you know, you can look it over, and if it for some reason it's not for you, you can get a refund on it. So that's not
you
a
can
problem.
keep my books too if you refund it. I'm not going to come after him for you. So
There
you
you
really
go.
have nothing to lose. Nico Smith is asking, Jim, how has your business model changed since the new Amazon single ASIN charges happened? So I think they're referring to the the long-term storage fees and the ASIN change, where now they're hitting you with long-term storage fees on everything. Have you pulled back on the long tail? Are you getting a little more picky on those slower selling books?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then plus sometimes you have double copies of books that, well, that doesn't really affect it, right? Because now you're talking about the single ASIN change. All right. So if we're talking about the single ASIN change, the long-term storage fees, that was a huge change. And I actually talked about that in one of my videos on my channel. Um, and basically, you have to just stop setting in crap. I mean, really, that's the first thing. But the second thing is that even stuff that's not technically crap, but is kind of on the border, that's stuff that you have to really be careful of too. You really have to think, okay, is this book going to sell in 6 months? If it's not going to sell in 6 months, is it worth those fees? If
Mm.
yes, then we'll leave it in there and give it another 6 months. If no, then I'm just going to get rid of it, pay the 15 cents to destroy it, and get on with my life.
Yeah. There's a man in the comments. The name goes by David Westerhold, which I believe is a green room member. I know recently he picked up 24,000 new books. I believe it's all one title. 24,000, and I
I
think
think
it
he sent me an email
was it ranked
before this.
over
I didn't
yeah,
get a chance to respond to it yet, but
yeah, I believe I saw a post and it was 24,000 books. I want to say the book was ranked over 1 million. What do you do in that situation?
well, first of all, if and I hate to tell you this, but I mean, if you're talking 24,000 books and it's all the same title, I think that's what he said, that this is
Yeah,
all the same book
yeah,
and it's ranked over 1 million. Yeah, you have a paperweight, my friend.
yeah.
You
It's gonna
have a
be
lot
trouble.
of recycle material there. So I would say that you have about 3 to 4 cents pound worth of money there in recycling waste. Yeah, maybe you could send in a copy or two. I mean, I don't know what the price on it is. I didn't look up that specific title. But if you have, multiple copies of the same book, unless that is a really, really fast selling book, that is, I mean, I've come into this all the time. There was a publisher that closed down in Connecticut. They had like 300,000 books, something like that.
Wow.
And I went to go look at them. At first I saw some long tail stuff that was selling for high amounts. It looked pretty cool. And then I realized that it was like 350 titles and there was like 500 copies of each book and they wanted you to take them all.
Mm.
And we're talking books that were like, some of them were really high rank. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this stuff? Like, it's just not feasible. I'm going to sell 500 copies of this book in my lifetime. I don't even think I'll sell 50 of them in my lifetime. So you really have to look at the data and, and go by that. So I would say you have 24,000 paperweights, but
Yeah,
with some recycle value.
whatever you do, do not send all those things in because, ranked over 1 million. I mean, like he said, it's going to take a lifetime to sell through like probably 10% of them. So if that,
Yeah.
but you live and you learn and you do the best you can. Scott is asking, when you list your product, does it automatically get posted on Amazon or does it only get posted when I ship it out and it reaches the warehouse?
Yeah, it's only going to go live once they check it in. So the process is, you label your books, you pack them up, you ship them out, and you can have UPS come to your door. By the way, a lot of people think, oh, am I going to be lugging heavy books to UPS every day? And, the answer is no. There's UPS smart pickup. And I took advantage of that. You get a year for free. And they will come to you and they'll pick up your boxes of books and they'll send them into Amazon. And and basically once it gets to Amazon and they check them in, then it will go live.
Awesome. Well, we're at about that time. Before we get going, there were some people asking about the course, and I'd gotten a couple private messages, so I figured we'd go over your course for a couple of
Sure.
minutes. And over the next, probably I'll be done with your course probably in about a week and a half. There's a lot of content, but I'm going to be doing a full review of it, talking
Okay.
about what I like, maybe what I think could be improved. I'm just going to give my honest opinion. But let's talk about your course for a couple of minutes for anybody who wants to take their game to the next level. And I want to say this right now, and I guarantee that you'd agree as well. Anything in life, it doesn't matter if it's eBay, Amazon, Craigslist, whatever it is. Maybe you're a baseball player. you can learn anything on your own nowadays. We're in a world where everything's on Google. There's so much information out there. You could do it on your own. But here's the thing, guys. And let me switch the screen really quick. Here's the thing, guys. There's a lot of noise out there. There is a ton of noise. There's a lot of great information. I think Jim would agree. There's a lot of YouTube channels who have really good information. There's a lot of noise out there, but there's a lot too that isn't accurate, that isn't up to date, and there's a lot of pieces missing, right? And I'll be the first one to say on my channel, I have a lot of great information that has to do with books, but I'm missing a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff where you can watch my videos and you can learn a lot, and you can even watch Jim's videos and learn a lot, but there's pieces that are missing if you don't have a step-by-step course. And some people have more money than time, and some people have more time than money. So that's all I want to say. If you want to learn this business quick, you want a step-by-step program, you want someone who's not only just, you don't just want the information, but you want someone who's almost like a partner and that teaches you along the way. Get the course. I'm telling you right now, guys, I've made a lot of mistakes reselling. I've made a lot of good choices, but one thing I wish I did sooner was invest in my education. And this is literally, it's $97, guys, 97 bucks, and you get 39 videos, over 10 hours of content. He's
Never had a
updating it.
complaint about the never had a complaint about the price, by the way. No one's
14
ever
day.
said this has been too much after they see the information. It's always been, dude, what are you doing? This should be much more. And I agree and disagree, but it is what it is.
14-day return policy. I'm giving away 3 of my books. If you buy it, you'll automatically get that download. So real quick, what do you want to say about this course for anybody? We're actually on the sales page right now. And if you guys want the free bonuses, you're going to have to go through my affiliate link, which is RaikenProfit.com/bookselling101. If you don't go through my link, you can still get the course, but you're not going to get the bonuses. And if you do go through my link, I would definitely appreciate that. It helps me with these videos and making this content for you guys. But do you want to talk a little bit about the course? I am sharing the screen. We're on your sales page right now.
Yeah, that screenshot you have right there, actually, that was, I believe that was November, or was it December? Man, I think that's
December
December.
to January.
Yeah, but that was like 3 or 4 months in when I was selling. That was my sales for that month. So, I did quite a bit in sales really early on, and yeah, I mean, there's not really everything there is to say about the course is pretty much on the sales page. What you're going through right here, what you just passed were pictures of yeah, right here. This is FBA scan. So these are a few books. You can see one, low pressure boilers. $84 book, low rank. If you sent that in, that would probably sell in the first week.
Oh yeah.
Another one, this book was going for like $50, $60 FBA. And then the third one, this is a $153 book. And something to note, these aren't even books that were my finds. This is one of my students' books that they found, doing sourcing at one of their places, and estate sales is one of the things I go into actually that a lot of people don't talk about. And I go into that in the course. And I believe estates is where he got some of those books. So a lot of those quality books, you're going to find them in situations like that, private collectors. So there's 3 sections. There's fundamentals, there's sourcing, and then there's pricing. So there's actually over 40 videos now. I think it's actually 41 videos. And there's a couple I haven't added to the sales page yet, but they are in here. So, I mean, some of the first videos, I go over what you need. Obviously, there's tools that you need. There's things that you need to get started. I go over all that. I go over the triggers, the exact buy triggers. And, those do change, by the way. So I have changed that since the course did come out. I go over the fastest way to scan all types of books. This is one of the techniques I use when I'm at the book sales and everybody's, skipping all these books that have, turn out have a lot of value. I go over one of my techniques in that video, which is why I've been so profitable at sales like that. And yeah, I mean, this fundamentals is actually the biggest section. That is, I believe, 24 videos. And then
you have inventory lab start to finish, because I tell you right now, if you're doing books, you're gonna need inventory lab. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a great program. I mean, there are alternatives, but I've always found Inventory Lab to be a great program for listing books. So that is what I teach, and you can see basically I'm telling you everything that I'm giving you. So I mean, if you look through every single video here, and you say, oh well, I know all this stuff already. I mean, honestly, I've got guys that are doing over six figures already, and even they've learned stuff from the course. And that's just the truth. So I mean, there's always things that you can learn. There's the sourcing section that goes into specifically, where to find, profitable books. Where do I go to find this stuff, right? And that section goes into that. I go into setting Craigslist alerts. I go into, um, you know, basically anything there is to know about Craigslist. I go into finding unlisted book sales, so stuff that's not just on, the common websites people go to. I go into that. I go into thrift stores, how to negotiate.
Is each one of these a video where it says how to make thousands from book sales, sourcing method number one? Is each one of these pictures
A
a, a,
separate video.
a separate
Yep,
video?
yep, yep.
Oh
Each
wow!
one of those is a separate video.
So these are all videos, every single one that you guys
Yeah,
see here.
yeah. This isn't an ebook, guys. This isn't like a 8.95 ebook. Read 5 pages and then you're a bookseller. This is in depth. There's a lot of stuff that goes
So
into
do you
this.
share everything that you know? I mean, is there any like with some products you buy it and you get like 1/4 of it and then they upsell you for like 800 bucks on like the good stuff. Is everything in this course or is there any upsells in the sales funnel for this?
I would say that I took a long time to create this course, and the reason being is I really wanted it to encompass, my knowledge. Like if I could implant, all my knowledge and what I know about this into, another person, then, how would I do it? Right. And this is, the result of that. So everything pretty much that I know that I thought of to put in here, except maybe the things I take for granted or little things, is in the course. Absolutely. My exact repricing settings I use to this day are in the course. I mean, really everything. Um, there's one upsell. It's very cheap. I think it's $37, and that is not even one that I did. That's one that my saleswoman did. Her name is Veronica. She's amazing. I pay
Okay.
her a ton of money, and that's because she's just incredible. And so there's a sales upsell on the concept of
Selling tips.
sales.
Yep. Yep. I
I
was
mean,
looking through that.
how are you going to get some of these really good sources of books? I mean, I go into some sources that involve relationship building, involve that really stepping into someone else's shoes and seeing books how they see them, which in most of the time is just a nuisance. Most people, they're not going to go out and sell
Right.
thousands of books and do all this stuff. So I mean, this is where there's profit there. um, and then there's the pricing section, of course. It goes into repricing. It goes into initially pricing the books, which is important. And yeah, I mean, it's start to finish. It's everything. Everything's there for sure.
So if
You know,
somebody was brand new, they didn't know anything about selling books, can they literally go through this course and learn how to get their business going? And
yeah, this is what you want. Yeah, if you're brand new to this, this is definitely what you want, because this is going to take you through start, you know, to finish. There will be some things that you have to go out there and actually do. I can't do the things for you, but I can definitely you know give you tips and warnings and certain things like library sales. There's a lot of things that if you just go to your first library sale, you could be taken back by a lot of things. There's a lot of things that you want to know about things like that, and I go into all of them.
cool. Well, thanks for sharing, man. It was a lot of fun. We
Sure.
had, 150, 200 people watching live the whole entire time. And it seems like people really, really enjoyed the show. So hopefully you guys learned some stuff and we were able to add value to your life. It was a lot of fun. I want to thank everybody in the comment section for being super duper cool and keeping things really, really positive and educational. So big shout out to everybody in the comment section. If you guys did enjoy this video, one way to let us know is by hitting that like button. It lets us know we're doing a good job and it helps get this video out to more and more people. I can't tell you how many people need this information. They need to know how to make, whether it's a couple $100 a month or a couple thousand or more. This information needs to get out to people, because a lot of people, they need the help a lot more than we do, and they just need that information. So,
This
you know,
information has the potential to make you $1,500 a month, or it has the potential to make you, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month or more. Okay, so it's really all about the effort you put into it, and it's all about effort, man. Mark Cuban, he always says the one thing you can always control is your effort. So
it's up to you guys. If you want to make a change in your life, whether it's books or eBay or some type of reselling or business, whatever you've been inspired to do in this video, you got to realize that if you continue to do the same thing you've always done, you're going to probably continue to get the same results. You've got to make a change. You've got to do something differently. If you want to get to the next level in your life, or you want to make more money, invest in yourself. Start reading books, start taking courses, start taking action. Write down some goals, put them on your wall, put them on your fridge, start making it happen. You don't have to be the smartest, brightest, most talented. You just got to start taking action. So I believe in you guys. I know you can do it. Go make it happen. Again, if you want his course, RaikenProfit.com/bookselling101 for the next 48 hours only. If you go through my link down in the description, you're going to get his course. You're going to get the 14-day money back guarantee, but you're also going to get all 3 of my books: 101 Killer Clothing Brands, 102 Killer Clothing Brands, and the Blazing Profits Training Program. So if you're interested, check it out. Jim, thanks for watching, man. Thanks for watching, Jim. Thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for being such a great teacher and educator. Really appreciate it. You guys check out his YouTube channel, Jim Pickins. I'm going to link that up in the description as well. I think it's already down there. Subscribe to him. He's got some really good free content on his YouTube channel. Anywhere else people could find out more about you?
I do have a website, jimpickins.com, and yeah, I mean, pretty much the website. And if you want to contact me via email, my email is jim@jimpickins.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on. Appreciate it, everybody. And yeah, we definitely appreciate you guys. If you have any more comments, leave a comment after the show. Jim, talk to you later on. Everybody, have a great night. And yeah, keep on picking and making that money. See you guys.
All right, see you.